Hundreds of protesters have gathered here to voice their concerns over the state of their economy and their opposition against the current government. Taxes have been increased across the board, and inflation is at an all-time high as the island nation struggles to emerge from its worst financial crisis in over 7 decades. A combination of the Forex crisis and political upheaval had already plunged Sri Lanka into instability and economic crisis. The situation has further snowballed, leaving common Sri Lankans completely helpless. Protesters also accuse the government of suppressing any voices of dissent. Since Ranil Wickremesinghe took office as the President of Sri Lanka, a number of people have been detained, and some even have been charged with serious offences under new draconian measures put in place by Ranil's government to crush the protests against rising cost of living and shortage of basic essentials. Opposition leaders have also joined the demonstrations, calling the ruling government repressive.
Today we are on the roads because the so-called democratic president Ranil Wickremesinghe has started to suppress the people's rights in this country.
Observers predict that the island nation's protracted protests may further weaken the already frail government. Sri Lanka has been in the throes of deep financial crisis this year, caused by record-low foreign exchange reserves. The crisis has pushed a large part of the country's 22 million population towards poverty, with many struggling to pay for even cooking gas and medicine. In July, widespread protests caused former President Gotabaya Rajapaksa to flee the country and resign after protesters stormed his office and residence. Unfortunately, since Rajapaksa's resignation, the political and economic situation has not improved in the country. When Ranil Wickremesinghe was elected president, the opposition and detractors referred to him as a puppet of the influential Rajapaksa brothers and have called for new elections.
This is only a first step in a long march in order to promote democratic change. We believe in democratic change. We need an election. We need to give the people a chance to provide the country with a new government, with a new mandate. And we shall achieve this through democratic means.
Sri Lanka's future looks increasingly grim, and many fear that the worst is still ahead. Wickremesinghe, who will be presenting his first budget on November 14th, is likely to include steep tax increases and other reforms in order to put the country's tattered economy back on track and to gain approval from the International Monetary Fund for a $2.9 billion USD bailout. According to experts, Sri Lankans could be facing a new level of desperation and poverty they have yet to see if a 30% increase in corporate and individual income tax occurs, coupled with the already skyrocketing inflation rate that reached 66% in October this year. While the government scrambles to find long-term solutions to the country's many problems, Sri Lankans are left struggling for basic, adequate necessities and continue to voice their discontent at the government's mishandling of the country.